Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's 10 past 5 here on the last day of August 2021. And I'm looking at VectorVest USA. And as you can see, lots of green on the front page of VectorVest. The short-term trend is up. Underlying trend is up, but the longest measure of the trend on VectorVest is still down. I thought in the middle of last week that the buy-sell ratio was going to, in fact, get above 1 on Wednesday, but it reversed on Friday. On Friday, up a little bit today. So if the buy-sell ratio gets up above 1, then we should get it confirmed up in the US. But it's got a way to go before that occurs. The color guard is neutral today. VectorVest advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. If we have a look at the VectorVest composite, there we are, and the VectorVest composite doing its best to break up, as you can see. Let's look at the signals. If we look at confirmed calls, still down. If we look at the DEW, the medium term signal, that's on a buy. And if we have a look at the primary wave, let's go to a 3-month chart, have a look at the shortest term measure of the trend, the primary wave, and there's the primary wave has been up since the close on the 24th. So all the measures of the trend looking good on VectorVest US, apart from the longest measure. If I have a look at my old friend, the S&P 500, as you can see, this is pushed through this top resistance line and is sitting up here. Harmonic pattern, people would say that we've had 3 drives here. So this is a really important point on the chart. There'll be a lot of people short of the market from this, but if these shorts should fail, if this pattern does fail, invariably this market goes up and goes up very strongly indeed. So I'm holding positions based on the DEW. I've expanded my positions in the US quite a bit since I've last done a video, and I'm holding Crocs, and let's have a look at these. Let me chart these. There we go. That's Crocs. My stops at entry. That's the entry point just there. I nearly got stopped on that pullback, missed it by a tick or two, and it's now trying to push above that high. As you can see, earnings per share looking very good indeed. Over the last 3 months, it's gone from 440 to 640. That's quite something. So stops at entry, and I'm doing my best to let that one run. It's going to take a bit of energy to get through this top. I haven't got a position in deck. I was really quite keen to buy last week. I'm glad I didn't. It didn't quite get through this top, and a close above that top I would have bought in, but it's now coming back, and I'm getting very interested to it. Although I haven't got it, I've got it in this list, so it's handy. If it takes this level out and then reverses, that would be a textbook Wyckoff spring, and so I'm watching that very carefully indeed. I would like it to take that low out and then reverse. Just remember that the best swing trades, the best trades occur when the majority of the population have been stopped out. That's what happened here. As you can see, there was a market that moved up and couldn't break out, and it came back, nailed all the obvious stop losses, and then shot up the page. I'm hoping that that's going to happen again, and so I'm looking for an entry in the next day or two there. This is AMD, bought AMD last week, and as you can see, pretty obvious setup, the same thing as I keep talking about. The UK people glaze over, they've heard it so many times. Came down, went up a bit, came back, took that low out, and then reversed, and I'm into this from about here. Stop loss is still at the initial stop loss, which is down here. It didn't go far enough for me to get half the position off and get the stop to entry, so still has made a tick or two, but nothing worth. I have high hopes of that. It looks very good to me. And that's Goldman Sachs. Bought into Goldman Sachs last Monday, after the open. Gapped up I actually called it in the VectorVest Q&A, the UK Q&A, and initial stop loss was there, folks. Made as much as I'd risked, got the stop to entry, and I'm now taking off a bit, half. I'm now doing my best to let the other half run with the stop loss at entry. So that's what I've done there. And this is square, still sweating and square. I was very hopeful of it this morning when it took that high out, but it's come right back. If the day were to finish like this, that's quite an ominous looking outside day. So a lot to play for in square. My stop loss in square is quite a long way away because I took the trade based on a weekly chart. So that's what I've been doing, and I'm watching actively for a setup in DECK. All of these shares I got from the VectorVest Midas Touch watch list, which is where I'm getting most of my swing trades these days. So I'm quite happy with that, and would be happier if the S&P in fact blows away this resistance level somewhere around here. So this can go, if it breaks up here, it can go an awful lot higher, folks, an awful lot higher. I'll leave it up to your own analysis of what Mr. Powell said last week. So in the UK, well, in the UK we've got a much stronger situation, a much cheaper market, and has done exceptionally well over the last month or two when the US have been flat. All of the measures of the trend on VectorVest are up. We've got 3 green lights, and as you can see, we've got a little black star winking at us here, which tells us that the short-term trend is up day over day, week over week, and the momentum is also rising strongly. Buy-sell ratio 2.37, MTI 1.4. Both metrics have got a little way to go before they become mega overbought. So very hopeful for the UK market. And those of you, just to alert you folks that at VectorVest, I do a blog. I haven't done the blog for a long time, and I update this every Thursday. And as you can see, that was way back in April, was the last entry. So I've called Cape Tech, which I own myself. I called the 3i Group, which I don't own. I don't have enough money. I'm invested, fully invested. Look, Seco and Volex I called last week, so I'm going to keep this up to date every Thursday, and they've all had a very good run, and of course there's not that much of that to do with me. The shares are really good shares. They tick all the boxes in VectorVest, and the general market is rising. So that's Cape Tech, and if I chart those, I don't think I've charted them already. I haven't. If I chart those, that's the wrong place. If I go here and I chart those, that's Cape Tech, and as you can see, ticking all the VectorVest boxes, in the throes of a very strong trend. Earnings per share has gone from 9 pence to 18 pence, so it's doubled in the last year. I've been talking about this every Monday afternoon since it was at £3, and it broke this level, and they all do the same thing, folks. It came back and kissed that level. That's where we were at the last Monday Q&A, which I said that was a good place to buy in, and it looks to me as if it's got quite a bit of legs from here. VectorVest valuation at 550. We shall see. As long as the general market keeps going, it should do well. Those of you that know my work will know that a gap through a big area of resistance like this is called a rocket launcher, and that would have been a great place to bought into it there. Hindsight, I know. This is Lucico. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Textbook spring, folks, and sometimes in illiquid markets, and this is relatively illiquid compared to US stocks, they come back a couple of times. If we look at this maybe a little bit in more detail, there's resistance, came back once, goes up. That was the best entry point there, and then the little bugger came back again, and away it went. So that's why I love these setups, is that when they actually go, they fly. And as you can see, this share has gone from what, 375 to 497 in a couple of weeks. So that one's just great. And 3i Group hasn't done much yet. after I called it. I like the way that the valuation's moving away from the price. Earnings per share is going up strongly, and I think it's just a matter of time. Famous last words, I know. Nobody knows what's going to happen next, but it looks good to me. And this is Volex, which I caught last Thursday, and it seems to have broken these highs. These highs take an awful lot of energy to get through, folks, especially it's been up there 3 times. If Mr. Gann were here, he'd be happy because it's broken those highs at the 4th attempt. And I think somebody sent me an email earlier that it had a good day today. So Games Workshop, as you know, is in my own portfolio. I'm actually quite a bit added to it twice along the way in the last 15-16 months, and as many of you will know, it's struggling to break through on the 4th attempt. A lot of people taking profits up there. We'll look at that in a second. So I will add to that this Thursday, and those of you that are listening from America, if you want me to do that for American shares, then you need to give VectorVest a shout. Let's have a look at the portfolio. I've done nothing. Okay, markets rising and they're all doing quite well. I'm happy to say, and that if we just sort them by RT, this has gone really well now, folks. Those of you that are swing traders, that 1983 is exactly a 1.618 extension of the last pullback. So, and it's a textbook spring. Let's have a look at it. Just, I know you're all groaning, not the spring again, but resistance, and came back, and as you can see, took a while. And that scared us here, and the results came out just there. The results were really good, and the market yawned. Then it went back, ran every stop in town, and then just flew up the page. As you can see, it's trading above the VectorVest valuation. RV is still exceptionally good, but if you only trade in shares that are trading below the VectorVest valuation, then you would give that a miss. So that's been a good run, and if you do a fib extension from that high to that low, you'll see that that 1983 is 1.618 of that. So if you are trading it with an awful lot of leverage, for example on a CFD, it would be appropriate to take some money off the table there. So this is an outright position for me. Lion Trust just keeps on going. That's Cape Tech. JD is above £10, folks. Isn't that great? So we doubled our money in that one. Crichton's is hanging in there. This is a class act, CCC. And again, I know you're going to yawn, another spring, and that has been really, really good for us. There was a spring down here as well. If we look at that over a little bit longer, you can see how markets do this all the time, and so there's resistance just here, and it came back and goes up and comes down, and when you see a share where earnings per share is growing strongly like this, then there's a high probability that that low is going to hold. Nobody knows what's going to happen next, but it did, and it did. Okay, so that looking good. Halma's just a class act. Bellway, I like the look of both construction shares that I'm holding. Cranswick is hanging around that £40 level, and my gold stocks, of course, done a little bit on Friday. I see Pan African is up well today. The gold price moving nicely, and I have a spread bet long of gold, which is well in the money. I bought at 17.52, and the gold price sitting about 18.12. Those of you that are not in gold stocks, folks, I've reworked the target. I think the short-term target now is 18.75. If it breaks 1875 and closes up there on a couple of occasions, then we can see I think a run to 2300. If you're not in the gold market, then I think stay well away until you see at least a weekly close maybe above that 1875 level. And with any luck, that will mean that this consolidation in the gold market that's been in place for the last year is over. I am still happy that the pullback that we've seen over the last year is a correction, and what happens after a correction is a resumption of the trend. We shall see if that is in fact correct relatively soon, I think. Let's just have a final look at Games Workshop. Games Workshop off a bit today as well, and as you can see, we've got this magnificent pattern, and somebody pointed this out to me, that here we've got this cup and handle patterns, also inverted head and shoulders reversal pattern, and clearly these lows well above that high. Earnings per share is rising strongly. I think myself it's only a matter of time before it breaks out, but clearly there's an awful lot of people who bought these highs, and every time the market goes back up there again, they get out and wipe the sweat off their brow, and it's going to take a while to clear those people out. That's what technical analysts refer to as overhead resistance. So the next time you hear somebody rattling on about overhead resistance, just think about that little fella wiping the sweat off his brow. Let's go back to the American market. The American market, a little bit stronger than the last time we looked, and the S&P flat on the day, 45.30. Very important level, ladies and gentlemen, sitting right at the top of this three drives pattern, and clearly sooner or later, guys, even under the most bullish circumstances, even under the most bullish circumstances, we're due a 10% pullback here. Okay. That would take us back 500 points. That would only take us back to about 4,000 on the S&P, or slightly under it. So we're due for that anytime. And I don't expect anything to happen this week, but if we were going to see a change in direction, invariably it'll happen after the American Labor Day holiday, which is next Monday. Just be careful this week. The liquidity on the run up to Labor Day can invariably be the lowest, or the second lowest of the year after the Christmas week. So I'm very bullish. I think that we can see a very, very strong run over the next month or two that will take markets much, much higher. As long as the American market hangs in there, then I think that there's a great future for US stocks, and I'm fully invested. I'm very happy with my efforts. So I hope you find this useful. I'll look at the gold market and the platinum market in a little bit more detail towards the end of the week for us. Thanks very much indeed. Bye-bye.